Everybody's rushing today. All right. Call to order. Meeting starts at 3:02 p.m. So we got the invocation and pledge of allegiance. How you standing, Counselor? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Okay, roll call from the left today.
Rose Larkin, present.
Jennifer Rusk, present.
Greg Fossum, present.
Steve Johnson, present.
Mary Rose Spalletta, present.
Wendy Di Catano, present.
Leach, Council Liaison, present.
Okay, and absent today due to sickness is Chad Schutz, our liaison. So as a result of that, actually, we need to get out by 4:25 p.m. today, okay? To respect to the staff, since Chad's
Dab goals.
normally having to stay late with us if we are late, but we do have a shorter agenda today, so I would assume we would be done early anyway.
And Rob Howell, are you considering this an excused absence since he did send an email?
Okay, yep, and Rob's got an excused absence. So, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, any objections? Okay, agenda is approved unanimously. Perfect. Approve previous meeting minutes. I have a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second, okay. Discussion? Objections? Yeah, passes unanimously. 0 and by Mary Rose Spalletta, right? All set. Good to go. Good. Public comment. Anybody? No? Gary, how are you?
Had high hopes of someone in the audience.
Yeah, I know, it's Gary. I couldn't recognize you first. And now that I see you straight on, I recognize you. Good. Excellent. Good. So let's jump into current items. First item is dark skies. You've all received the steering document. So if you want to go ahead and read the program description there, maybe I'll go ahead and read it for the benefit of anybody that might be watching. This is to discuss the dark sky community and whether or not we choose to suggest moving forward with this with the town council. Description is for a dark skies, a certified IDA dark sky community. IDA International Dark Sky Community is a town, city, municipality, or other legally organized community that has shown exceptional dedication to the preservation of the night sky through the implementation and enforcement of a quality outdoor lighting ordinance, dark sky education, and citizen support of dark skies. Dark sky communities excel in their efforts to promote responsible lighting and dark sky stewardship and set good examples for surrounding communities. Following that, you see a list is, from my understanding, a comprehensive list of certified IDA International Dark Sky Communities. I think there's maybe this totals 31. I don't know if y'all have been to any of these. Would recognize that. I know there's some out in Bill's neck of the woods out there. West.
And some of these are not like, I mean, very tourist towns.
Oh, no. Two are in Illinois, and you wouldn't, I mean, Homer Glen was quite close to where we raised our kids, and
Yeah, and Norwood is a pretty tiny town. Nucleus is pretty. So is this it?
I believe that's on their website. That's the list they provide. So is it comprehensive? I'm not sure, but my guess is it is. My speculation, I should say, is that it is. You'll see as we go through it, it's not the easiest thing to actually achieve.
Does this mean that they have no white lights at all
No.
at night? Is
Nope.
that what it means?
No, that's absolutely not what it means.
That's
No.
not what it means.
No. That means they abide by the IDA guidelines, and they have what is quite a list of there's a long page here of the guidelines to become certified, and you'll see it includes a lot of different aspects to it. So, good segue, though, into the MRF considerations for becoming an International Dark Sky Community. First, I think maybe to try to steer this is to review the requirements to determine whether or not the program is a good fit for the community and the benefits of achieving certification. And maybe we'll take examine, well, maybe not now, but we'd have to look within and examine our current community municipal outdoor lighting ordinance, how far we would have to go. 3, then maybe assess our current preparedness and community support of pursuing the program. That's something we can sort of take into consideration today, I think. Also consideration of the length of time to achieve the certification, and also what resources we have here, spearheading it, staff, what kind of resources are available. And also investigate alternative approaches that might accomplish similar results if desired, so that don't necessarily provide us with that emblem that we can use technically for marketing purposes, because my understanding is that's ultimately what you receive. That would be, besides dark skies, the benefit, the return maybe on investment for, let's say, putting the time in is from a marketing perspective to for yourself a unique dark sky community.
Who funds the DA, or their application fees, or?
They do have memberships, they do take donations, and there are certain costs. I know to submit an application, I think there's a $250 charge. So I don't think, outside of that, I'm not sure they're completely funded. So it's always good to follow the money, Doc.
I would assume that maybe, self-assessment would be a first step to really look at their help for that, what would be required for us to do to achieve that.
Exactly. And to prevent really outside of maybe a presentation, which maybe I could have summarized better prior to really doing that, I had provided, there's a number of key documents here really that sort of talks about it, and I thought maybe I'd just open it up to discussion. And they have a checklist, which is kind of a neat thing to maybe go through, and that would give you a little bit of an overview of what you required. But they have a program guideline, which is approximately 10 pages, 11 pages, 12 pages, 15 pages. So these are the guidelines. There's a checklist, which is 6 pages. And there's also, if you flip over, a little bit of a flow chart here I was able to add to the document, although it was a screen capture, so it's difficult to read that left side. I can clarify that. I have a better printout here anticipating that. And again, this will actually cover the timeline as well. So the phase 1 is the initial inquiry, where you go online, you submit your interest level, and then they contact you. And they assess you. You include your GPS coordinates, the boundary lines. I believe maybe your current lighting ordinance and things like that. And then they'll take a look at it and then back to you. There is a sort of I'm looking for. It can give you a tentative sort of approval to work through things prior to actually then reapplying, where they'll work with you a little bit. If once accepted, there's a formal application, and they'll work with you to complete that.
What would be the reason for not being approved for the initial inquiry?
Boy, let me give you the quick overview here. So, first of all,
Does it mean that we have to be in compliance for them to accept this, or they'll accept this and then tell us why we are not or are in compliance?
correct, they would review these, your
good.
application, and they have actually on their website the documents that have been for some of all these towns, I don't know if all the towns, but there's certainly a number of them, where it gives you their completed application. So it actually shows you what it takes to be successful to do this from an application standpoint. And then I think it has documents in there about their processes, so it kind of takes you through it.
Is it like a light meter test? They're gonna see how bright we are, and if we're not.
Well, I mean, a town has to do that. I mean, it's part of the guidelines. You need to be taking measurements over time. You have to have curfews, lighting curfews. So let me just hit some of those highlights here verbally with you. And all these documents, and I can send these to you. I just, I think for this particular meeting, I hope to maybe through the steering document discussion have a feeling of whether or not we have an appetite to pursue it and whether or not we have the resources. And maybe the decision doesn't have to be done today, I don't think. I think I could provide you these very specific documents, which are really the short list of what you have to look at. And it's not too much. And actually their website, they have got a page that really guides you through it very nicely. Now, I didn't go through completely all of it. I thought I'd wait to see whether we were going to head that way. But it's got the completed applications. It's got photos in there of the towns and all kinds of background and it's kind of neat. But again, it's fairly in depth. You know, there's an eligibility requirement, which really just says that you are a community of some type, town, municipality, or legally organized community. There's a minimum requirement for all communities. So I'll just jump in here. So it's about 3 or 4 pages, and I attempted to have that on the steering document and kind of ran out of time. But if I hit some of the highlights, I mean, they jump right in. They say you have to have the following minimum lighting installations. So full shielding of all lighting fixtures over 1,000 lumens, right? Which is not really super bright at all. A limit on the emission of short wavelength light through one of the following restrictions, either through the color temperature, the CCT, so 3,000 Kelvin or below. And this is a 2018 guideline, so I'm not sure it's completely updated, but I believe that's been lowered to 2,700. But again, that's not confirmed. So of that shortwave light, not more than 25% of the total spectral power can be over, or I should say under 550 nanometers, which is amber. Also, the scotopic to photopic ratio of allowed lighting can't exceed 1.3 of all your lighting. And I don't know if you have to go measure your entire community's lighting fixtures, but so photopic is your bright light. So that's your real bright light, and so those are the cones in your eyes, and then you also have rods, which are used in low light, and there's a ratio there of what's ideal. A restriction on the total amount of unshielded lighting. Also, you address overlighting, such as lumens per net acre, and there's caps for that. Regulations of new installations of publicly owned outdoor lighting. So that would probably, result in a new ordinance for for new construction. And restrictions on installation and operation of illuminated signs. And again, I'm not going to jump into actually the sub-bullets. Outdoor recreational and or athletic field lighting may be exempted from the strict shielding and short wavelength emissions, but then there's requirements below that, meaning that the light has to be adjustable. If you're just out maintaining, let's say in the evening versus playing, it needs to be lowered. So there's these types of restrictions that are built in. Curfew requirements. Timers need to be installed. They even talk about the amortization period of applicable to all public and privately owned lighting, and not to end at not more than 10 years from the effective date of the outdoor lighting policy. There's a community commitment to dark skies and quality lighting. So you have to get recommendations from chambers of commerce, let's say, a council person, a mayor, so a seated legislator, probably maybe homeowners associations, things like that. So they require that you can actually show that you have community support for it. So the community commitment to, also to education, planning and executing at least 2 community dark sky awareness events per year. Could be done through schools, astronomy clubs, the municipality. Vision of dark sky awareness documents, so you need to scatter some brochures around. And success in light pollution control is demonstrated by at least one of the following examples of a number of construction projects appropriate to the community population and amount of new construction. Alternative evidence of success in light pollution control to be discussed with our liaison for IDA. Sky brightness measurement program must be established and maintained either by the community or by a public or private entity, i.e. University Research Center, IDA chapter, astronomy club, etc. That follows the evolution of light pollution in the community. Oh, and to continue, again, just hitting sort of the high points. And once established, the community must erect and maintain appropriate signage indicating the IDA community designation along with roadway entrance, footpath entrances with no roadways, etc. And as I mentioned, there's a provisional status. They lack all the resources, so they give you sort of a provisional status that allows you to work through some things and then reapply. And then it goes through the steps for the applicants. And it's, I mean, obviously, if you dig in, you get to a lot more details of what's required.
Well, you know what, when you're hearing you go through it, it seems there's some things there that are fairly easy to achieve and others that would be difficult.
Right.
So, you know, I think maybe coming up with a suggestion about, because we already have a pretty good lighting ordinance. I assume what we have might be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds almost maybe stricter to them with a 3K light.
Mm-hmm.
Light for what they're talking about. Then come up with a list of what we can do, and then you know, maybe some things we can't. I don't know.
Right, but even if you have 3K, I mean, there's just tons of sort of restrictions and quantities and things like that that are involved with that. So
Of course, the trick is the private property stuff. Like you go down to that traffic light down by Times Square, and it's you need sunglasses at night.
right.
I think that's actually in our. There's a thing about trespass in the ordinance, is there?
There is, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, half a foot into the next property.
The other, you know, is getting the will to enforce.
Right, and exactly. I think that's exactly my thought, is that right now we actually have what was, I think, modeled against an IDA model ordinance. I mean, so it actually is a dark skies municipal ordinance that we have now, but it's a best kept secret, as you guys know. How then do we take that jump all the way to dark skies without, I mean, that's a huge jump from where we're at now. I mean, although we have that ordinance, it's not like we enforce it, it's enforced, it's unknown. You know, in some cases, it's disregarded. I'd say even by the people that are, you know, are supposedly are supposed to be supporting it. So that's sort of where we're at. Again, we don't have to have certainly a decision or an alternative plan here, but I mean, I'm opening it up certainly to a board here to decide. Maybe get your input or your thoughts initially, and then I can forward the link to that spot that all this is available. I can even forward you the documents, although they're all right there in nice highlighted links as you ask, you know, what you have to achieve guidelines, boom, hit the guidelines, and it gives you the guidelines, application, examples, all that stuff. I mean, it's really very nice, very, very well put together. So you don't have to go to 1,000 different sites. It's all contained really from that one launch page.
I think we should get lots of information out to the people and then see how they deal with the amber lights first, and then come back but just keep getting information out to them about dark skies for a while.
Right, now that was actually late last year. We were supposed to be getting our information officer there, information for the advisories and things and the newsletters to like to say, did you know that our ordinance says that, you know, you need to have shielded lights, or you can't put coach lights up that aren't covered and things like that, that are already in our current ordinance, to see if we can move things forward that way. Because I mean, again, I think our municipal ordinance is quite good. If anything, it might need to be modernized because it doesn't really talk about LED lights. They're completely different animals because of that shortwave, you know, that blue rich light. I just saw that Naples had passed a new updated ordinance to include LEDs. I haven't read it thoroughly or anything like that. I just saw that they have it. I have the document, and I haven't read it all yet.
I mean, see, what does it do special for LEDs? I mean, they still have color temperatures. I mean,
They do. I think it may be, again, I hate to speculate, but it's, you know, one of the issues with LEDs is internal lighting. What was never a problem before with incandescence and things like that is that now LED light, that short wavelength, bounces 10 times more than long wavelengths. So it takes off. I mean, so if you have your window, your drapes wide open, and you have a bright white LED light in your house, it's like a headlight coming off of a car. It just escapes the room.
because of the short wavelength,
Right.
more so than well, I don't know, a natural light that has a short wave. They just get shorter wavelengths with
LEDs, exactly, yeah. The spectral power distribution is way heavier on short wavelengths than it is on long wavelengths.
I mean, question, well, first statement is I'm all for dark skies, but if we already have an ordinance that is not being followed, how could we get this done?
It's sort of like,
Like,
the,
I'd
it's
say-
like the invasives. If we keep asking people to
But our own township is not adhering to the ordinance.
that's
and asking for that, Greg, is the first part of the process.
my point, yeah.
I mean, is it an enforcement problem? Is it the permitting department doesn't know the ordinance, which I hope is not true?
No, I mean, my understanding, most enforcement in our town is by complaint.
I'm talking new permits, like by Nervous Nellies. A lot of that lighting didn't adhere to the township's ordinance.
Oh, the Bayside Park, you're saying. Exactly right. Didn't follow,
So
it
if
wasn't
our
even
own
close. Yeah.
township doesn't follow our own ordinance, how do you expect anybody else to?
Good point.
Correct, and that's being addressed, I think, but that's the point, that's exactly the point, yeah. I mean, how would we go to something like a certification when we have what is probably 90, as far as the physical guidelines of without the metering and the timers and adaptive lighting and all that kind of stuff, just the core of it is 90% dark skies already. Whoever adopted that back in the mid-2000s knew what they wanted and what we were after, and they even had a grandfathered period, I think in 2010, that said, okay, but after this point, off we go. I think that date came and went, and those people, those council people moved on, and with them, their intentions, I think, so.
Sounds like educating the public and the town, everybody involved, needs to be done. But also, people need to understand what's the benefit to them. Because everybody looks at it from their own perspective. So
They
how
should,
do I
yeah.
benefit from us becoming a dark skies community? I think that's a big thing that needs to be hit on and emphasized. Get
Yeah.
more people behind it.
One of the things I was thinking about is, I think they came out maybe 5-10 years ago, all the overhead landscape lighting that's all over. Almost every single restaurant has or has up over their outdoor dining. It's extremely popular to have that.
What type is it? I'm sorry, I
It's
missed it.
the LED round bulb.
Oh, kind of like the car dealership ones that hang? Right.
Almost every business has one, especially restaurants here on the island.
I think those are called Edison bulbs.
Is that what? Yes, Edison bulbs. Not sure if that's what they call them on the box, but maybe they do.
I think that's
The
the,
clear bulb where you see the
outdoor landscaping
filaments.
lighting.
you see the film.
Right.
And so, I I was looking to see during the holidays if we had something like that, more landscape lighting that is Amber FWC approved, because just as we're doing the invasive, we're trying to educate. Here's what to plant, here's what not to plant, or here's something to replace this with. It would be good if there were more products out there that we could say, hey, you can follow the town's ordinance with these FWC approved, dark sky lighting that still gives you the ambiance that you're looking for, that you have already. So just as what Wendy is saying is educate, but also it would be good if we had more, something in replace to give the businesses an ambiance, to create look.
That's actually a really good point, because I know when you go to like the Home Depot or something now, most of them, the LED lights are built in. You can't go and get like a ceiling fan with a light on it and then decide to put a different bulb in it.
Right.
The fixture is solid state, so it's
Because then we're going to a town, especially from where I live, all the way down to Times Square, where it's just businesses and all of them have outdoor lighting. And it's just like in that one video about dark skies, where on the side of the freeway that gas stations are lighting up their gas stations brighter and brighter to draw the people away from the gas station that's across the street that's not as bright. So in some ways, landscaping and lighting is a marketing tool for a lot of our businesses. And if we had something that we could go to our businesses and say, hey, you can still create a beautiful ambiance to draw in your customers and still abide by the city's ordinance and what we're trying to do, which is dark skies.
Yeah, it's just too cheap and easy to overlight, basically. And if you go through what they're really the fundamentals are, it's really to direct all the light down, not let it escape. So anything that's producing light outward or upward, certainly, is all going up into the sky, and that's where you get your sky glow. So white light is not prohibited by any stretch of the imagination. It just has to be controlled, and it needs to go where you intend it to go. And it's a little harder with white light because it tends to, it's.
So what about those Edison lights that are pointing down? They're still not.
If you can actually see the bulb, then it's going up. If you can actually see it, that's the other thing. You shouldn't be able to actually see the source. It's like sea turtle lighting. You should not be able to see the source. If you are, then it's actually coming out to you. You can actually see it down, so you see the effect of the light. You're seeing what
Sitting below it at a table, then obviously you can.
Exactly.
Right.
It's meant to, lighting is meant to illuminate something, not out to everything.
So something mounted in the ground needs to be pointing out something. They would say, well, a light shining down is shining down on a table. It's pointing towards a table. So that would be an argument I think people would say.
Right.
Hey, we're directing it onto a table.
But, now it's become more of an issue just because of the glare. I mean, that short wavelength light it just produces glare like crazy. And one of the problems, especially with, like you said, trying to overlight. Well, you can produce so much more light now with LEDs that the glare that's associated with it is tremendous. So,
Have we looked into, or should we look into landscape lighting that follows our town ordinance? And
yeah, I mean,
come up
it
with some
actually.
ideas to be able to, say, hey, this is not, in our ordinance. This is, lighting that's trespassing onto your neighbors and to the backyards of the homes. But here's something that you can. Maybe we should come up with some ideas. Again, I agree with Rose and Wendy that I think we should start getting out there, educating the people, writing articles, and ask for feedback, see what we're up against.
Yeah, I agree, Jennifer. I think that you made some great points, and the landscape lighting is included in the current lighting ordinance. again, there's no uplight, so any of these bulbs that are shining up, there are some lumen limitations, so if they're very light, you are allowed to actually have them pointing up, but the tops have to be frosted, again, just to try to, at that point, even though they're small, they have small lumens, you're not sending it straight up into the air, so. But like I said, as I was digging, I mean, the further you dig, you realize, knowing our community, timing is a little bit of an issue. I think maybe think people have to get warmed up to the idea a little bit more. I mean, it's been in the news, or it's been an issue here for the last couple of years, especially with the projects that have been going on. I think the Estero Boulevard project certainly brought it to the forefront, lighting in general. And now we have some other projects that are going on. So maybe for the sake of time here, and again, we don't have to have decisions today, but I'll send you this, but I don't think, I think maybe what I'm hearing is that education right now, and actually maybe working on our current ordinance toward, compliance to that, through education. And also I know from the permitting standpoint that lighting wasn't being looked at for a number of years. I think over the last couple of years, they've begun to include that and look more closely at the lighting plans for all the new land development orders, permits that are being approved, and ensuring that they have proper lighting plans and they abide by the ordinance. So.
Well, I would also say that I don't think it would hurt us any to go ahead and start phase 1 of the initial inquiry. I mean, why not? And also that could be something that we could tell or talk to the town about, talk to the citizens and visitors about how we're, taking the first steps. So I would suggest that we start the phase 1 initial inquiry.
Okay, well, as part of that, there needs to be an owner. It can't be a group of people. There's actually a single person that that runs, that makes the application. So is this a MRF?
The single person, it's not like the town entity, it's not someone representing from you're not entering into a contract that somehow.
No, of course not. Yeah. But their assumption is that there's a single person that becomes their single point. I mean, they can't deal with a group of people and communications and all that kind of stuff. So somebody has to be the owner. I'd be willing to send that email or that inquiry just to probably have a discussion.
I would be interested just, to really kind of like we did with the invasive plant survey. It's just, if we need to go through and find, go around and see what in the town needs to be changed to work towards. But, I understand doing an application, a lot of part of the application is finding out what you have to do, right?
That's what it says.
But a lot of that is, maybe the glaring things we could figure out on our own. And then would go to the, town council and say, we would like to, try to enforce these rules so we can work towards compliance, get rid of 80% of the easy stuff maybe.
Well, that's already written in our town ordinance. Once we submit the town ordinance in the initial inquiry, that is the basis of where we start.
Although, as you know, the town ordinance, you drive around town, you'd think that it's.
You might have suggestions for us on how to work with the town to abide by the. Might have suggestions.
Well, if there's availability online for us to look into how these other communities actually became, we don't have to rewrite the wheel. We can copy whatever is applicable to our town and not have to start from scratch. Use somebody who's similar, has similar problems and whatever. Just use, and I think that means looking into these different, number one, location, how many are islands? I know a lot of them are, and a lot are mountains. But just to look and see how their area is similar to ours, and maybe just start investigating and looking at each of those as an example.
I wonder if FPL has some sort of reporting on energy being
Per capita
used.
or something?
Pardon me?
Per capita?
Or on the island, I don't know if
Oh,
they
on the
have some
island.
sort of,
Oh, sure, they got meters on everything, yeah, but, that's a thought, but I think, I think we need to take a look at, again, I think y'all need to probably spend a little bit of time on that webpage. It'll come up quickly, you'll be able to look through it and have a much better feel than me kind of explaining it. I just thought, to get it going, because it's been on the agenda forever, and we've always had other sort of lighting issues here to say, let's look at, Estero Boulevard, let's look at Bayside Park, let's look at these other things that could potentially derail even any pursuing this anyway. And I think we're at a point now we can look at it, but again, what's the benefit? What's the benefit to the effort? What are we actually going to achieve by getting the certification? We don't have now. So of course, but no, but in my opinion, I feel like we have a fairly dark sky at night. If you can still see the stars fairly well here on a nice night.
Have you seen the pictures of 30 years ago? And the people, there's pictures from Sanibel and from Fort Myers Beach where you could actually see the Milky Way. Can't see that now.
Oh, you can't. That's 95% of the world. You can't see the Milky. You can't see the Milky Way anymore. Yeah, yeah. That's a statistic they have. 95% of the world you can't see the Milky Way anymore.
So that would be an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Going dark skies.
Well, again, that's assuming that the surrounding communities also are dark. I mean, back then, the lighting levels were much lower then. So
I mean, all of Lee County and Bonita.
all of Lee County, across the bay. Yeah, I mean that's part of the problem is the surrounding communities. But
We're also at sea level. This is the hardest places to see them.
yeah.
Some of these towns are at significant elevation in Colorado, and you get a huge benefit from a nice.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can't let it get worse, I think, as a minimum. And the certification isn't necessarily going to do that. I think actually compliance to our current ordinance would actually not only prevent it getting worse, but actually roll it back to where maybe to much even better levels. So
I think you got to look at two different parts of this. One is to say just working towards dark sky and what's the benefit for our community. A lot of that is, with health, but also aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Safety things, like if you're driving and there's a amber street light, but there's a building that's putting out 3 times the light at, 5K, it's going to affect your vision.
Yeah.
And the other is, going into a restaurant, if it's warm light, classier, more relaxing experience.
Exactly.
You can't have warm light if the guy next to you is really.
Layering, yeah.
So putting out those kind of things, saying, here's the real benefit, and let's just start working towards this by working with the offenders. You assume newer construction is going to, that's also, with the older great, because there's not a grandfathering thing here. I see as far as light transits.
No, and actually it doesn't. It's not even necessarily on new permits either. I mean, it extends to the entire island. Right. So that's the thing. Normally you have only new permits, but you eventually change it over a generation. But no, this is as we stand right now. Technically, the town could walk up to anybody that has probably anybody has some kind of lighting violation. Technically, yeah. So. I think we need to crawl before we walk, and maybe we get the information. Again, to take a time, it's already 3:40, so we've got only 45 minutes to finish the agenda. Just to get you the information, which I made a note on, and then go ahead and table it to the next meeting, where we can maybe discuss it a little bit more, what your experiences were going through that data, that information. And then maybe have the ability then to make an action plan to say, okay, this is what we'd like to do.
We need to cross-check the ordinance, their requirements to see how close we are,
Yeah.
or how close we are not.
Yeah. Yep.
So if we cross-check the ordinance with IDA requirements and it's close, I think it's a doable thing. If they're not even close.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, isn't that what they do in phase 1 in the initial inquiry? They ask for your.
I think so. I think they ask you
Kind of
tons of
ordinance
questions and
look at it and give you, the guide. It sounds like they help you and they guide you. So
they do. I think that's my impression. through all of this is that you're being, walked through hand in hand, so.
I say, we've been crawling on this for a while, Steve. I think phase one initial inquiry would be a good first step.
It probably wouldn't be bad for someone to volunteer to, call a couple of these communities. Find out, if you can find the one person who's responsible, find out what their experience was like and maybe get
Ask some of these communities that are on here, on this list.
That have been
somebody,
successful.
I've done it before, some other things, but you call up their town hall, you ask about their dark skies, who's their contact, email them. I mean, it just takes a little while to get back and forth, and then find out what the process was like for them. I mean, some of these I know, like I said, like Norwood is a tiny town, but Nucleus is a little bigger further down, but them, they might have been able to change the one light bulb in town, and then.
And there's other communities that are close by that are actually in the process, like Cayo Costa. Now, granted, it's a park, and it's really going to be a lot easier for them, but just to get an idea. But yeah, that's not a bad idea, is to get in contact with some of these certified IDA.
Yeah, they have separate programs for parks, and they have maybe 3 or 4 programs, sanctuaries, things like that, but yeah, that's definitely a thought. They are smaller, although, believe it or not, the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is going to pursue it, attempt to pursue it.
Good for them.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be something. That would be something.
Any volunteers in?
Yeah, I don't know how you'd get their contact information, but you may find on the applications it's on there, that they're on the website for some of these. Find one that maybe, at least you know where they are, you've been to their town, might be interesting, or know the state, but thank you, Wendy, that's
Tell me
great.
which ones you're doing, Wendy. I'd call one or two of the others. Bill, are there any that would be comparable to us that you see on here?
No,
I didn't see any, actually, I mean.
Like, what would be the best ones?
Wimberley is close to Austin, but that's inland.
New Bay, Texas is one that kind of jumps out at me.
Horseshoe
I do
Bay?
a public comment, actually,
I'll wait, but I got a lot of interesting information of what you were just talking.
okay.
At the end.
Okay.
I would, Flagstaff's a pretty good sized town.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the largest.
There are no IDA certified barrier islands in the country?
I mean, again, if this is the comprehensive list, which I'm speculating it is, because they had listed each of them individually on the site, and you can actually, they all had links to them too. So I think when you open them up, I'm not sure if they have photos and stories behind them, but trying to get down to really the nuts and bolts here to see if if everybody told me no, we can't do it, then I wasn't going to move forward. But
I don't see anything here that's.
We're the two Illinois.
yeah, Homer Glen's really interesting for me because it's probably 15 miles south of where we're in my hometown. But again, that's a small. I'm not even sure. That is a city, but I think it was maybe it was unincorporated, or I'm not sure what it was. But there's also Hawthorne Woods, which is interesting. That's smack in the middle of the near North Shore of Chicago.
I thought maybe a starting point, look at the map, see where all these places are. I mean, there's a couple of places that are listed as islands. Are they inhabited islands? Are they not inhabited?
Yeah.
I think it's a question of checking out where they're located and then kind of which has a similar relation or geography
Tourist
like we have.
destination.
It looks like we need to do some homework
And
here.
go from there.
I
The
think
one that jumped out to me was the Texas one in Horseshoe Bay.
Yeah.
Bay sounds like it's on the water.
Okay, good. Then we'll both Wendy and Mary Rose.
Yeah, I will. I just want to say that I
Look
think
around
it
a
is
bit.
something doable. I think we should pursue it. I'm just wondering, and Bill, I think this is a question for you. Is there a possibility that the council would want to give this to a special committee? I mean, like, this seems like a really big island-wide project. And we're going to recommend, probably, that we go ahead with it. you think they're gonna say, Marine Resources Task Force, this is not your job? Gonna-
I would not think so.
Okay.
I would think, because it seems like it's kind of in your purview, and they really don't like having more committees. Committees will do ad hoc committees for something very specific, but this sounds like it's something that's gonna go on for a while.
Okay.
It may even be a committee that's maybe not attached to the town.
Yeah,
Right, and quite often typically is not attached to the town, I think.
right, okay.
Which makes it a lot easier.
Usually,
You can talk about things outside the meeting, you can,
Maybe we could decide to do that, to recommend to the council that they give this to, people who are interested, but not necessarily.
yeah, what
on a
you do
committee.
is probably try to find locally like-minded people and come up with a small group of dark skies advocates. And there's actually a chapter locally. I don't know, I think maybe they're either Tampa or somewhere. I think I had reached out to them a year or so ago to try to get a hold of them to talk about things, and I couldn't get a call back. So I think it's very loosely, it's not very, maybe it's not very well organized, or
the number's surprisingly small.
yeah.
But yeah, I look north and it's like Sanibel and Captiva are better situated to achieve than we are.
Yeah, I think this is, the whole IDA started with astronomy. The guy the founder was an astronomist. So it's really, this is astronomy level dark skies is what they are attempting to achieve, I think, with certification.
The thing about it is, even if you don't achieve certification, doesn't mean you haven't won.
Oh, of course.
I mean,
Sure.
because if we just can get the lighting more under control, if we get 80% of the way there, the benefit's still there.
Right, it's to our benefit to pursue this.
So I think if the town sees that we're taking steps, for example, inquiring into it, maybe would be more interested in finding out more information on dark skies.
Yeah, I did present it, must have been, I feel like it was a year ago maybe. I said, should we work forward toward it? And they said, sure. Should that be on our list, basically? And they said, absolutely, go for it. Come tell us what you find. So,
So you're gonna send us all that stuff, Steve?
yep, I sure will.
We'll do some homework. I would suggest we all try and make a list of the positive things that are gonna come out of this, because we need to talk this up to the general public. And all the good things that we see coming out of this, I think, should be mentioned over and over.
Writing a letter to the editor, they publish them in our local Observer. It can create a buzz, get people thinking about it.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be one of our stories necessarily.
You can do those things, good.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and I'll circle that, which means we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting, but also let's move to the next item if we can, in the sake of time. At the MRF purview, I know you had asked for, Jen, to be put on, so.
So I gave you all just a little handout, name change, MRF purview, and most people that live and visit Estero Island understand that all things environmental ultimately affect the marine environment. However, we are growing, and many are coming from inland areas of the country and may not be aware of our unique local environment. I believe that the name of the committee should reflect in whole what we promote. The name Estero Island Environmental Resource Task Force doesn't give us the MRF acronym, but it does clearly convey what the committee promotes. The definition of marine is defined as something related to water or sea. The definition of environmental is defined as to the surroundings to the natural world and the impact of human activity on its condition. And the definition of coastal environment is the complete system of living organisms and physical surrounding within the waters and the shorelands of the estuaries, the near shore ocean, and the terrestrial areas influenced by the system. I also thought that if we wanted to keep with the acronym, then maybe change it to MRF, M-E-R-T-F, Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force, and thought I'd get your opinions or your thoughts on that.
I like the last one, because people are used to saying MRF, and this way, it's a slight spelling change, but the pronunciation would be basically the same.
Sense to me.
I personally have had a lot of people ask me about why MRF? Why marine? You're talking about plants, you're talking about invasives, you're talking about other things. Now, I know that on a barrier island, everything we do, environmentally, humans, everything is connected by marine. Even the mayor a few months ago during a council meeting had said, well, I don't know, why MRF is getting involved in things other than it started off as marine issues, but now it seems like it's everything. So that made me start thinking a little bit that we do need to maybe think about being more specific in our name and explaining what it is we do, and it's just not related to marine. So we have been working on many things other than marine.
And you're out there a lot
Yes.
with your pop-up tents.
Yes.
So this committee is getting a lot more people seeing and hearing
And asking questions.
about what's going on.
And asking questions.
And yes, when I look at Murph, I was like Mr. Tiff when I look at the,
Couldn't even say
Mr.
it.
Tiff. But I think it would be timely. It would make sense because largely gotten us out into the community more than I think it's ever really been out before.
Thank you, Wendy. That acknowledgement, but also, and I understand that MRF is kind of an acronym on the person, I believe, that started the Marine Resource Task Force, if I'm correct.
I'm not
yeah,
sure
the-
if the acronym is, or it's actually just the name of the,
No,
Is it
the,
Murphy?
one of the first items that ever came up for me when I joined MRF, when it was reconstituted years ago, was changing the name. Someone suggested the same thing. I didn't get any traction at all because it's an old committee. It was one of the first committees that weren't required that was formed by the town. And Mulholland, from the Mulholland Award. And so it has quite a bit of loyalty with just its history. We got pushback. And like I think I told you, Jennifer, is that if you read what our actual rules are, more expansive than marine. Title may not be. What's actually in our documents says you can work on more than just marine.
well, I have the documents
But
here,
it
actually.
doesn't say it in the name, and
Right.
that's,
It doesn't say the name, but it is in the documents. It's within your authority. Now, I'm not saying not to try. I'm just saying what my experience is, because this was 10 years ago. Things change over. If you think you come with an idea, and I don't know if you necessarily have to, and also you guys have built up the name MRF, so it's got some efforts. It's got some credibility to go with it.
Street cred.
Some gravitas, yeah. So, you can, if you're gonna, changing it to be similar. But
actually makes more sense, MERTF.
I always thought it was funny that MRTF
MRTF?
doesn't really mean MRF. Yeah, I always thought that was a little different, but
MRF, MERTF, Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force.
Who would object to that?
potentially
there
the
be-
council, but,
There's just some history with that. But
so, I mean, couple things. One is, when I, 2017 I joined, I got the Division 6, which was, explained what our scope was and all those types of things. But from my understanding, now that I dug in last night into the Muni Code and everything else, this technically has been repealed. It had been replaced by this ordinance number 1806, which was signed in 2018. Then Mayor Tracy Gore. And I'm not sure if it was consolidated. I remember back then, I thought they said it was gonna change a little bit, but it was just to prioritize residents over non-residents. Is in the back of my mind is what I recall, but the document is there. If you go to the Muni Code site, Division 6 says reserved now, and there's no documents there. So this is actually no longer our ordinance. But just for the sake of everybody, basically our scope is Marine Resource Task Force. The broad objectives of the Marine Resource Task Force are to further the welfare of the citizens of the town by helping to promote a better, more healthful, safe and attractive community environment, and to ensure that the unique and natural characteristics of our marine resources are preserved, or any other topics as assigned by the town council. So, I mean, clearly there's, you know, the environment, the community environment is part of our scope. So, my understanding, what this is maybe, and also, I mean, since this environment's not really covered by any other advisory board, all roads lead to us, things regarding the environment. I mean, it would appear, at least from my experience being on the advisory board. So, Jennifer, are you suggesting that maybe it's really just the name change? So not the purview, but the name change?
Right, the scope is obviously
It's the scope.
correct. It's just and what we are promoting should, you know, the old saying, what's in a name? And I have had questions.
Okay.
And I've, from others, and I think if we were marine and environmental resource task force, I think it would be much more, they are what we promote.
Well, another thing that's kind of counterintuitive to that is that a lot of people, when you put environmental in there, they think, oh, they're environmentalists. Right. Maybe some of the people you want to reach out to with a vague, maybe, you know what I mean, name, they turn you off faster.
You're
Very
saying when
true.
we reach out to someone and we say marine and we're with the marine and environmental resource task force, you think the word environmental would turn people off from actually wanting to listen to what we have to say, or just immediately have a wall up?
No, I'm saying not probably many people. Some people, especially in our particularly polarized life we live in now, they see environmental, they think,
Cover.
Yeah, I certainly ended up getting that last weekend.
I mean, if you're just going
That
to change,
mentality.
and like you said, you went through quite a few different iterations here, but you know, one is, okay, you can try to keep it close to MRF, or you can just come with something else, which maybe just call it, instead of marine, call it coastal. Coastal is
Coastal
broader.
environment. Coastal Marine Resource Task Force.
Coastal resources.
Coastal resources.
So, CURF. Pronounce it into something.
Right.
I mean, you know, the other committees don't have a
Yeah, this-
little acronym name, so I
Well,
mean,
because there's roll a little easier, CellCab.
Yeah, CellCab,
Public safety doesn't.
there was CRAB.
That was an
no,
easy
that's
one.
true.
Public safety doesn't have one, actually, do they?
Hey, you.
So, where does that leave us?
Make a motion to adopt the marine and environmental resource change.
I'll second that, Rose. I think that we have to defer to Jennifer on this. She's out in the public eye at least once a week, and if she's getting questions about this, I think it's valid.
I have. It's not like on a every pop-up
If she
basis.
feels this will make the job easier, I don't, you know, this
So
used to be the name, but things have changed. It's 10 years later, and
Yeah.
we're tackling different problems, and we feel that this is a better reflection of what we're doing. If council doesn't like it, they can say no. I feel.
That's exactly how it works, so that's
Yeah.
a good way to
There's
say
the
it.
lighting and there's the plant. A lot of topics that are not marine based.
Well,
The
one of the
lighting is.
reasons why I also wanted to bring it up is because we're supposed to be getting
Bush
pamphlets
light and
made.
the
We
zooplankton won't
have
eat the phytoplankton. It's true. That's the point. It's all environmental if you live on
Oh,
or
that-
marine if you live on an island, I think.
That's the point that Jennifer made a while ago. Even though we know we're a Long Island and everything goes into the water, everything affects the marine environment.
Absolutely.
A lot of
That's, you know,
Yeah, I mean, we all know that. It's really just
you could say that for anywhere
name.
anywhere in the world. It happens faster when you're on a barren island than it does if you're.
Yeah, that's true. Look at the dead
Wyoming.
zone in New Orleans, yeah, from all that Mississippi River fluent.
somebody might question, you know, when they're coming up to the pop-up and they see Marine Resource Task Force and we've got a big, you know, board, or board, talking about invasive plants and native plants and different, you know, topics, is kind of go, you know, what does that have to do? And it does make for a good conversation. What does this have to do with marine, the marine? Well, everything on
Yeah,
this
I mean-
Superior Island, you know.
I understand completely.
Which is actually, you think about it, also an additional valuable point. If someone wants to put fertilizer in their lawn, or they want to put, you know, native plants in, one of our big selling points is that affects the water.
Sure does.
Right.
Choices affect the water.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no doubt, it's immediate too. It's rain. So for me, during discussion here, I moved in and lived next door to Nancy Mulholland for 8 years. So I feel like I kind of know where her late husband was coming from. So if my vote might be just more on a personal level. So, you know.
You're entitled.
We had a second, correct?
Yeah, I second.
Okay.
Recall the question?
Okay, so, discussion complete?
Call the question, very nice.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Hey. Carries 5-1.
You rebel, you.
I know, Nancy would be turning, she'd be killing me right now. A little traditional, but.
Like me with the,
Just a reminder that changes all
Sure,
around.
I mean, hey,
And
pardon
it's-
me?
right,
Changes all around, and we're honoring him by
Hey, I'm not, like I said,
considering.
I'm certainly not
Being
against
Murph.
that, but, I'm happy to bring that motion to the council from our advisory board. But, you know, just as a reminder, we don't have to vote unanimously on everything,
that's right.
right? So, perfect.
That's how it starts.
That's right. It's really important, and we gotta go in all for one. All for one. How's that go? For all. Okay, so, excellent. That's another one. We can take it off. Good. We can talk about so we have plenty of time here, actually. What am I thinking? Shrimp Fest. Parade, actually, is what this is supposed to be for. Shrimp Festival Parade. Vote. And our participation in, which I think previously we didn't vote on it, but we all agreed that's something that's we'd like to do again.
If I may,
Of course you may.
Harvey, I believe I have his name correct, from Lions Club,
Okay, I'm not sure who that is.
called me and also showed up at a pop-up a couple weeks ago at Newton Park to, the pop-up was all about, really liked it, said, and called me a few days ago and just said he's got the spot for us.
Okay, so that's from the booth perspective,
That's a
or
booth
for the
perspective
parade?
not for the parade.
Okay.
The parade is separate. Somebody has got to call in and pay the $45 and sign up, and I'll be happy to do that, or I don't know if it's the town that does that.
We have a budget.
Previously, I just paid for it myself. It's like $35.
Yeah,
I can do that if you really want. I mean, if you guys are willing to do it, I'll
Well,
sign up.
we have, I mean, actually, you'll see when we talk about next month's agenda, but we were gonna put our budget back on the agenda as well. I mean, because we haven't,
Money?
done anything. We, have a lot of ideas, so I would recommend that we actually take it out of our budget, yeah.
Okay.
September's coming up.
Yeah.
And
Jennifer takes so much out of pocket for pop-ups that I would just, it's hideous, so.
I have a lot of money
I
into
know you,
it,
I know you
but I
have.
love it so much.
I know you do. So,
So, the other thing is of course I said they would waive the fee to do the pop-up, the town pop-up or the Murph pop-up at the in Hall Park. But then followed up and said, but they would appreciate donation if we could come up with something.
but when you do pop-ups at Lynn Hall Park,
No, for the shrimp festival, I'm
Fest.
sorry.
Oh,
For
oh.
the shrimp festival,
Is
for
that
the
with the
weekend.
$45?
That is for the parade.
Jeez, okay,
The parade is completely separate.
gotcha,
The Lynn Hall,
right, because you took care of it,
yeah, but
right.
they have waived that, but said they would certainly appreciate if we wanted to come up with a donation. We could either separately just give a donation of our own.
Would you say the fee was?
200, but they've waived it. They're not
200.
charging us at all for the setup at a setup at Lynn Hall Park for the Shrimp Fest, the weekend.
So, but, I mean, for me, I think I would suggest it's probably easier to pay a fee than it is to make a donation out of our budget.
They said it didn't,
But you see what I'm saying? I mean,
don't
it's
be-
$200
I
either.
was just gonna give like my own little donation to them. Didn't, unless you wanna do it as a MRF, I was just gonna, we could each do our own under MRF, or, I'll
Okay,
just whatever.
I see.
Well, since I'm shamelessly, buffing off the parade and festival duties on you
Yeah.
guys, I'm more than happy to make a donation. Make the donation.
Okay, there you have it. The other thing is.
Flying his way out that beach, man, he's.
The other thing is that I had spoken to Roger, the town manager, who said that he would have the town set up the town's tent versus our tent. Have the town set up the tent and take it down for us, so we don't have to worry about that. I am looking for volunteers. I would really like to have other committees too come and promote whatever they are doing as well. I did listen to the council meeting and overheard there was a discussion on background checks for the volunteers for the pop-up. I just had a few questions for Councilman Veach on this, in this regards. One was, how long does it take to get a background check done, and be able to give that information, the clearance, back to me? Second question was, will volunteers need to pay for that background check? And also, can there be a waiver for volunteers who are in local organizations? Example, would Eve Haversfield, when she comes, would she need to do a background check? Would casual volunteers who only do it once a year or twice
Don't
a
let
year,
me
would
answer
they
some of the
need?
questions. I'm going to forget what they are.
Well, again, even before you
I'll
go
email
that
them
far,
to
before you
you.
go that far, you're saying that the town is
this coming
suggesting
from?
that anybody who works the pop-up tent needs to have a background check.
Correct, because
The Marine Resource Task Force pop-up tent.
correct, because the town's volunteers, all of the volunteers have got to go through a background check. For example, the Mount House volunteers have a background check, and at first when I listened to the council meeting, I was like, wait, what? That's going to be really hard on me to get my
sure.
volunteers, all of them, because some ebb and flow, they come in, they come out. It's going to be difficult to do that. However, I do understand that it is something and that probably should be done to protect the town of Fort Myers Beach. So with that respect, I'm okay with it, but I just do have some questions just to help me.
So there was a discussion about it.
Okay,
Right.
I
I
realize
don't
that.
really think there was consensus to require it. I think the attorney was kind of bringing it up. I think that, anybody who'd worked for the town, probably Eve, certainly all of you, we had background checks. Wasn't there a thing when you signed up your
No,
forms here?
none of
You had
us
to sign that they can look, well, yeah, they could
fall
actually
under
perform.
the town. So as volunteers and a government entity, we fall under the town. Volunteers, they're
No, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
So
No,
I'm
but-
saying anybody who has served on a volunteer, I'm saying there's a lot of people who've already had the background checks, and probably a lot of people you deal with already have. People who are on a different committee have had background checks. This is years ago when it happened to me, I didn't pay, I don't know how long it took for them to do the background check. I think it's just on a computer, so I don't think it takes long. But I don't think there's really been the consensus to require that right now. You get a smattering, you get people, and I mentioned that, you get someone from Audubon who comes in, you
Right.
get someone from Turtle Time comes in, they may be volunteering for an organization that's not part of the town and they haven't gotten it, but you don't really know who's gonna come in. Part of your philosophy is that when people have an expertise, they drop in, they're welcome, right? I don't think there's really, I'll talk to the attorney again and see if this is really a requirement. Where
Well, we signed up as an advisory board, you signed a piece of paper that it was a consent form that said that they can check up on you, basically. Is what,
I didn't,
I just saw that the other night when I was poking through there.
I didn't sign anything saying that they would do a background check. I mean, I don't
probably did
remember
in the
that.
application.
You gave them
I mean-
consent, like I said, to
Oh,
look
okay.
into it.
Well, that's fine.
At least I did, I know, I just ran I checked out the document.
At first, I thought they were talking about the FGCU thing.
Right.
Which I guess hasn't happened yet, my understanding.
Why has that? It's been almost a year since I've given the information.
It's an agreement between two entities, and I think, just gotta keep prodding the bear.
Not that difficult. It really isn't. I've spoken with
Well-
some of the professors. It's not that difficult on our end. It's something that basically goes through Eagle Eye and it gets put in the students' shoes.
Difficulty is, if there's a potential liability, who gets the liability?
Oh, you're talking about the liability. I thought just in general on signing up for
Other
the
than that,
FGCU.
and the concern was, it isn't like, it's not like there's an organization, there's a group that does this and organizes it all and sends people to different spots. It's like there's a bulletin board somewhere. And I don't really know, this is what we were kind of talking about. And that bulletin board says, take this number if you want to go volunteer for the Marine Resources Task Force pop-up booth. They take that number and then they call you and they show up.
That's not how it works, so.
Okay, so I'm going to call this under order here. This is not on the agenda, this discussion of volunteerism, and we got 10 minutes.
Well, it is, because it's under the.
Do we need that for the parade?
Shrimp Fest, correct. I mean, it's a possibility. That was under discussion. They had brought it up because they were bringing up the Shrimp Festival. Roger had said, it had brought up under his items that during Shrimp Festival, by the way.
Okay, so specifically Shrimp Festival. Okay, so, but nothing was voted on, or there's no consensus?
And they didn't have a vote.
Okay, and it
just
would need to be
I
voted
will,
on?
I will clarify that with the
Okay,
attorney and just.
okay. Again, I don't mean to be rude here, I'm just trying to say we've got minutes and we
public
got
comment to get
Murph,
through.
we got public comments, we got members' items to report, and we got to set the agenda, so so basically, as far as the parade float and all that stuff, we're gonna have to wait until February now, right? We still have
What do we
time?
have to do? We
We need a vehicle. We need something to tow.
We need the whole float, yeah, and who's gonna come and who's gonna do all that kind of stuff, so.
And I'd ask Rob if he has a trailer for his boat, and I'm not sure if he does.
Right.
said he might. He wasn't sure, and that's what we need is a trailer.
So, yeah, we need to know when we're gonna get it together and all that kind of stuff. So is February gonna be too late to discuss it to length?
Yes, because it's
Okay, well,
the second week.
I'm just saying.
That's why I brought up the whether or not we would need, background checks for
That's for the
all.
booths. Is actually, so, you're saying anybody that even walks in the parade is gonna need to sign a form or be in a parade?
The Murph pop-up,
The pop-up,
Pop-up.
you're saying, so that's right, it's
possibility that
pop-up,
the
right, so it's
town
not
will
necessarily the
require.
parade, right, so.
When is the Shrimp Fest?
March 12th and 13th.
It comes, and, there's still some kind of discussion about whether it'll go off, but, my understanding with this.
Well, in February, I
latest-
mean, we still have a month, right? If we had,
Yeah, the scuttlebutt, at least I hear, is that they expect this Omicron variant to peak in like just a week or two, being so fast.
I mean, everybody's coughs a few times and we're done. I think is
And they
what I'm
had
hearing.
said that they were gonna be turning in their permit for the Shrimp Festival on the, 4th of this month.
Now, with the application, they want to know, how long are you?
Oh,
Can have
geez.
amplified music? Like this. Well, you do need some information to apply, you can't just,
I mean, from
Perhaps
us,
not, our
for
float,
the parade. The parade, the length, they want to know how long, they want to know if you're going to have 5 vehicles or 1, and how long you're going to be.
so I would say 1 vehicle, 1 trailer.
They want to know how long the trailer is, and I don't know how,
Does the
I don't know
town
how
have
long.
he
the
said his
boat is.
boat's 30 feet,
Trailer's gonna be
5 feet. Well, yeah, I mean, whether you're right or wrong, you just throw it out there, 35 plus how long is a pickup truck?
Or is it going to be
That'll make it a lot, I mean,
They gonna come
the
and
reason for the
measure
truck
it?
was to not only put signage on it, I think, is
you get another platform?
another platform
Or
to,
a turtle?
a turtle and
That's right,
a
an active turtle.
Steaked and turtle, it's so awesome.
You're laughing already.
Turtle! All these little kids, turtle! Turtle! And Mary Rose is throwing him candy. So funny.
The length will be 55
5
feet?
feet.
60.
Yeah, just say 60. That's all we need?
Not really, I'm gonna be too
Who's
busy.
filling out the permit?
I'm gonna be organizing the pop-up.
Ah, so we have nobody that's actually owns the parade, work so far. We need paperwork, right?
You have, yes, you go online and I can do that. I can fill out the application, but,
Okay.
where are we going to set up? Where are we going to decorate? What are we gonna decorate with? I guess
Right.
those are the little things that we can do next month. But we need to get in the parade application.
Right, okay. That's
Okay,
a good-
so
that's a
basically,
great-
we know the size 60 feet long. What are some of the other,
No music.
no
No, we have to-
music?
Yeah, no music. Well,
We've had music in the past.
How will,
Well, if we use the Tesla, I can put music outside with it. Farts too, if you want to.
turtle park?
bonus.
I mean, it's all kinds of sounds that it makes now. You can also use it as a megaphone. You can sit in it and I can't see how that's
Does it
legal.
have the light show too going on?
You have to
I
be
thought my
stopped.
neighbor had one or something.
Yeah,
I
it
saw
does
walk
have
by
a-
the other day and he had, I mean, it
Now
was
it
like
has,
a,
you can
it was like a
Anybody's
nightclub.
handy,
His
come up your
car
own
was like a
light source.
nightclub. It's unbelievable.
Is it just gonna be Murph members, or can we ask for other communities?
Well, we'd like people that would, that volunteer, you know, for
the
Murph also.
pop-ups,
We would
yeah.
invite them, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, we got Turtle Time volunteers, we'll
Okay.
get, you know, if
Yeah,
Audubon people wanna come,
absolutely.
anybody wants to come.
Yep.
More the merrier, honestly.
Okay, so you'll, go ahead and send in the application and,
Can
Well,
I
now
talk
I'll
to you if
help
there's
you.
any questions I have?
yeah, I mean, that's not even,
There are a couple of requirements, so you also do need a fire
Sunshine.
extinguisher. I think I have one from previous,
okay,
I hope they're
I've
still
got one in my
valid.
truck, yeah.
have one, you may, I don't think, I think you need at least
Okay,
one.
so, we'll get it done.
And then do we have boards that we paint? Because I remember one year, years ago, I showed up at your house and helped paint
All right, we're done.
It's just a lot of fun, but I'm not sure if there's room for the, you know, if you,
with that boat.
Right, with,
depends
well,
on the
with
trailer looks like and where the boat is, whether or not you can have that and see the boat, because they're 4x8, they're two 4x8 sheets on each side.
Oh, so you got an 8-foot bed? 5 feet.
No, they were in the trailer last time.
Last time, yeah, I thought I said you modified them for your new truck.
No, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Now, Rob had said that he thought his boat
And
still
tailgate.
needed a lot of work, and considering
that's
he's
what
been
I-
married,
worried
he
about,
just got
actually.
married, he's got a lot of time, you know, he's working,
Okay,
I
so-
can't speak for himself, but he did seem a little apprehensive when he was talking about donating the boat. So what would be?
we need to get
Okay, so we'll
verification
send
from
in the
them.
application, and then if there happens to be a modification along the way, that I'm sure they'll accommodate, I'm hoping they'll accommodate us.
It's gonna be about the same length whether there's a boat on it or not, right? Otherwise, we'll go back to the panels, to a trailer float.
Right, okay, right,
You know, I mean,
right.
it doesn't have to float.
I'm pretty sure, and I remember last time, they didn't come with a tape measure to verify, so.
If it's shorter than 60 feet, they probably won't be opposed.
Okay, so we're gonna have to save those final discussions for next month, and then we'll get the application in, okay?
We need to reach out to Rob, if we're gonna set it up
Right,
someplace.
we'll have to do an email thing through Chad, I mean, although this has nothing to do with Murphy
And
business.
I can reach out to him if he's, you know.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Honeymoon, but the other thing is, you know, maybe he wants us to paint his boat. Always paint
Yeah, he
over
said
it.
it's primed or something, we just paint it and he'll
We
paint
can-
over it, so I don't know.
If we can find a place to put it somewhere here on the island that
Okay,
someone
we're
has a yard or
speculating,
something, we can do it.
good citizen. Okay, so, I mean, seriously, I mean,
Gavelled.
yeah, I've been gavelled twice, maybe twice, I don't know, I gavelled you both once, but, I mean, it's 4:20 here, and we have a 3-minute open, public comment too, so. Citizen award,
I have a
Murphy.
Murphy.
I have one too.
Okay,
perfect,
so
thank you, ladies.
this Murphy, I wrote it. If you want to go ahead, go.
Okay, my Murphy is the one that I spoke about a couple of months ago. There's a, a man on the beach who works for the Wyndham, is in charge of maintenance there, and he actually is the maintenance manager. He has used what would have been throwaway stuff, 55-gallon drums and PVC pipe, and he has made a 3-tier rainwater collector. He has PVC pipe around his shed, so when it rains, it goes into the pipe and it goes into his 3 tiers. He's got 3 times 55 gallons worth of water there, and it's in a nice PVC pipe frame. It's all recycled stuff. So, and he can just use the spigot and take out a bucket of water or hook up his hose to it, and it's more than enough for him to keep his entire backyard, which is very nice. Boy. So,
So that's
he's
not
my
at the Wyndham
suggestion.
property, that's
No,
at
it
his
is on
house?
his property.
On the
He
island?
has
Is he
a
an island
house on the
resident?
island,
Oh,
right,
okay.
he lives on Hibiscus.
Oh, beautiful.
And I just went to his backyard, and it is very nice.
Oh.
He's been working on it for a while. The only thing is, and this is what I was gonna ask Rose for, he has it enclosed in PVC pipe, and he wants to plant something so that you can't see the ugly barrels in behind there. So I said I would ask you, but in the meantime, I would suggest him, very heartily for,
Tell you after the meeting.
okay.
Perfect. Excellent.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so on December 28th, a volunteer was called out to do a rescue of a critically endangered species, Kemp's Ridley, to the fishing pier. This situation actually came full circle. It was exactly what the visitor was supposed to do. It was exactly what our local wave runner business, Rebel, I believe it's called Rebel Beach, it's right by the Riverside Grill. Business did. A visitor from Missouri caught a Kemp's Ridley, started to bring it up, realized it was too heavy, ran over, got the phone number off the sign on the pier, called Turtle Time. Turtle Time gave them directions on to slowly bring to the beach. He started to, but a few employees from the Rebel Beach business on the beach, volunteers, the employees jumped on a jet ski, went out there, properly cut the line, unhooked it, got a wet towel, brought it back onto shore, put it in shade, and waited for a volunteer to show up. Volunteer showed up, took it to Crow, came full circle. The turtle is rehabbing at Crow. It was exactly what somebody who was visiting was supposed to do. It was exactly what our local beach business didn't have to do, but did out of their kindness of their heart, which they also had rescued a pelican later on that day as well. And then waited for the volunteer. And I think the reason why I think it's so important right now is because there are so many visitors on that pier, and they don't think to reach out and to look at the signs, to do what's right. It really warmed my heart that the beach businesses that are out there really care about wildlife and understand the importance of the environment and wildlife too. And the volunteer, I just think that the whole thing worked out beautifully, and Eve was very happy about it. Unfortunately, the following week was a complete opposite of what happened, and unfortunately the sea turtle's line was cut and released, and the people were not happy because they thought that they were doing the right thing, which they weren't. So there needs to be more education.
Okay, we're getting
That's
the hook.
my Murphy.
Okay, good. So, we usually do this when we have two. We vote on one or the other, or we make a motion for one?
Gotta vote.
Just vote.
Pictures?
I do. I have a picture of the young man in front of the sign on the
picture?
pier. I have
I have several pictures, actually. I can pass it down. It is. It's quite
Yeah.
a contraction.
Yeah.
I think we should take them both. Let's,
What's the article?
Well, we'll use them both, I can guarantee you that.
which
but
one do we want?
Which
to-
one would you want first? The article next month, which is February, is Rose Larkin.
On?
We decided yet for February?
What
No,
are
I
those?
didn't think I was February. I was just
February. I think
October.
that's Rob.
Yeah, no, we went back,
May.
Rob wasn't here, or was he here? Rob was July.
from April.
Jennifer, Rose, Steve, Mary Rose, Wendy, Greg, Rob, Jennifer, then it starts Rose, Steve, Mary Rose, Wendy.
Okay,
So is that okay, or do you need
yeah,
to
absolutely.
flip-flop with somebody? Okay, so, yeah, so we don't know what it will be yet, so,
I was just wondering.
yeah, to try to make it work together. All in favor of using this month, using Jennifer's this month?
Either one, which goes better?
Well, that's what we don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, they're both, we're gonna use them both, so who want, you
Right.
guys,
This
oh,
one is very timely, I feel.
The turtle one?
With the public here, and
Tourists,
this,
okay.
this sounds like a very good bank one. To put in
okay,
the Murphy
I
Bank.
think you make a good point, so, well, let's vote. Jennifer? Okay, and we'll bank.
Yeah,
Mary
and we'll
Rose.
bank on.
Good,
Thank
I love
you.
that one. Okay, good, so,
Just say
yeah,
what the
that's,
vote was, because I don't think the transcriber gets the hands raised things.
well, but I mean, is
Oh,
that
aye.
really
The vote was unanimous. And
okay, unanimous, unanimous vote for, Turtle Saver. And, Wyndham Maintenance goes into the bank, which has been with, underdrawn or whatever you call it, or whatever, we're empty, zero balance, so now we're +1. Perfect, thank you both very much, it's to remember to try to look out for one, so, good. Members, items, and reports. Wendy, anything?
I have nothing to report.
Hey, Rose?
No, I wanted to commend the men who work on the beach. They moved some more sea oats and they replanted them, and I think that's definitely a good way to go around Newton Park. They took them out of one area because it was encroaching on the sidewalk, and immediately moved them onto the beach, and we're going to try and nurture them.
Perfect. I have just, I'll make them quick. The fishing pier under the Mentanzas Bridge is ready to be demolished. If you guys have any,
I saw that, yeah.
well, if you have an opinion, you need to let town council know, I think. I'm not opening it up for discussion here. I'm just suggesting that that's an item. Under the subject of dark skies, you know, the other project that we haven't talked about was Bay Oaks, you know, and it does lighting. I think Sanibel has the perfect types of lights that they use for their thing, so I haven't even looked at that. And last but not least, there's a PNP, a policy and procedure document I ran across from Murph. I think you gave it to me when I started, and it's never come up again. And I'm sure none of these people, you know, that have come since Mary Rose and I were here. It's about a 12-pager, so I'm gonna forward that to y'all, and then next meeting we can discuss it. If it's active, where it came from, that kind of stuff. So that's it for me. Greg?
Nothing.
And I'm going to just go through it really quick. It's just update on the pop-up since April 2021. We've had over 50 pop-ups, 4 to 6 pop-ups a month, average 3 to 5 volunteers, not including me, working 3 to 5 hours per pop-up. Thank you, Gary Mathis, by the way, for being such a great volunteer for Murph. 100 to 150 hours per month volunteers, with the estimated over 5,000 visitors and community have stopped by the pop-up throughout the island. This has been a huge success, and I hope we continue to have the town's support in 2022. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Rose?
I have nothing other than to say I would like the vegetation be back on the agenda next time.
Okay. Well, we'll be talking about the agenda, so. Perfect. Public comment? Gary, did you? Come up. Can you stand up in front of the little microphone there quick and
My name's Gary Mathis, I live down Bonita Beach. I'm a full-time resident, and I've been helping out at the pop-up almost the past year. And with that, I have a couple of things I just wanted to mention. One, your discussion earlier on the dark skies. As you were discussing, I wasn't avoiding you. I was actually looking up websites. And please look into IES, which is the Illuminating Engineers Society. It is mentioned in the website for dark skies, but it had a lot of information. And the other one, as I Googled benefits of dark skies, and you can't believe almost everything that you brought up and looking for information in regards to, the answers are right there for you. Okay, a lot of good articles, a lot of follow-ups from all those cities that you mentioned, especially talking about the benefits for citizens and businesses, which again, you all brought up, so it was good ones. Jen's purview, I have to say, and again, working the pop-up as often as I have, word environment comes up almost simultaneously when you say marine. And that's what's bringing the people into the booth. We were talking about this beautiful environment that we live in here on the beach. And so I really think it's a strong aspect of it. And Jen, just for your information, I have passed all of my background checks and I can even get into Camp David. So please feel, I can pass.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the meeting.
All right, thank you,
you,
Gary.
Gary.
Appreciate
Bravo,
that.
Gary.
Your Mathis. Okay, good. So, the agenda for next meeting, we've got Dark Skies, we've got Shrimp Fest, we'll come back on it. We're adding back our invasives or exotic or just vegetation. And I also, budget was something we had, Chad had asked me to start moving on a little bit. And I don't think, I guess that we can put that P&P document here. I don't know if we need to discuss it or it necessarily has to be an agenda item, but we can put it on there. Unless somebody has,
Put it on.
yeah, P&P document. And does anybody else have anything that we should consider?
Just think about how to spend the money when you come in for the next meeting.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Think about what you're doing with that. So I'll send an email with the links and then I'll anything else that we couldn't get in, so. That's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second. Okay, discussion? No. Okay, meeting adjourned. 4:25.